Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today on our monthly productivity webinar. We have some really great content for you today, as you'll find out. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite programs, if not my favorite program of all time, Microsoft OneNote. I've been using it for years. I have all of our client files, all the notes and meetings I've attended, pictures of their environment, just all kinds of information organized into Notebook. You'll see today some great tips to do that. I have used it on my workstation, my Microsoft Surface tablet, and on the web. So major productivity benefit to what I do every day, and I think you'll find that as well. Okay, next slide. Real quick about Apex, most of you on the call are either our clients or are working with us in some regard. There's a few that aren't. We're an IT managed service provider based in Reading, but we have clients throughout California and a couple of other states. We have a team of about 30 employees, business analysts, virtual CIOs, technicians, a whole organization geared towards helping our clients transform their organizations with technology solutions. So we'll take care of the day-to-day IT, help you out with projects, help you out on how to use technology to accomplish your business objectives. So let's go ahead to the next slide. Our services basically fall into these four categories. IT managed services. This is the section of our business that we keep all of your technology under watch and running smoothly so that your organization can rely on it to get their jobs done and be productive. We also have a fully staffed help desk right here in California. These are people that don't leave the office. They are always here taking calls, unlike some of our competitors. When they get busy on projects, you may have to wait to have somebody on your organization get some support. So we're real proud of our help desk. They do surveys of every ticket, and we have 90+% client satisfaction. So we're real proud of that. We also have a full professional services team to help out with consulting and project services, IT assessments, upgrades, new deployments, that type of thing. And of course, if it makes sense, we have a whole suite of cloud services and capabilities with hosting and having your applications in the cloud for easier scaling and resource management. Okay. So I told you that was going to be quick. That was quick. We're going to move on right now to the actual content. We have Melanie again joining us to talk about OneNote. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and start, Melanie.
Thank you. Welcome everybody again to our monthly webinar. Like George mentioned, this is a great application for across many different ways of using it. And we're going to talk about today how you can possibly use it both from a business perspective and from an educational perspective as well. But to get started, as this sort of name alludes, what is OneNote? It's basically a note-taking application, really in a really sort of basic high-level sense. But why would you use this note-taking application? Well, over the course of time, actually, I find it funny. I've kind of been using OneNote on and off for the last decade, but I have to say, initially, it just really seemed like a fancy notepad or sticky note repository, but definitely over the last few years, Microsoft has definitely evolved this application. And what's been neat is to watch them integrated into their Office suite with all their various other software like Word and PowerPoint, etc. And also the fact that they've made it cloud-based. So what you'll see today as I show you OneNote on my laptop, I can show it to you on my tablet, on my phone, and it's really great to have this sort of seamless way of working on your material. And as George alluded to in terms of organization, it's really great in terms of you not having to save material and files, putting things on USBs. You just know that regardless of what device you pick up, your material is always there. So as I sort of mentioned, that basically OneNote can be used across many of your various devices, but they're all a little different. And I'll show you a little bit about sort of the different look and feel. And part of it is set up so that OneNote is maximizing the actual device that you're on. So what I'll show you today is that the actual like PC or laptop or desktop version has a lot more sort of features and drop-down menus, but again, it was more intended to be used like with a mouse for that type of navigation. Whereas I'll show you when we work on the tablet that the navigation's a little different because again, it's set up to either be accessed with your finger, with a stylus. And so really Microsoft has done a lot to make your experience as the user the best as it can be, depending on, again, how you're actually using OneNote. But basically what it allows you to do in various stages, it allows you to sort of capture information, you can organize your information, and then you can share your information either with your other devices or with other people on your team. So the general high-level structure of how OneNote works is you have notebooks, which is sort of the big filing cabinets of your material, sections, which is, I would say these are the actual either filing cabinets themselves or your big file folders. And then you have pages. And so all of these, you can either create as many as you want, and we'll get into the fact that you can color code them as well. Basically, that's what you get as part of OneNote, and where you go from there is up to your imagination. But just to show you a little bit of what the difference in terms of the look and feel. So what you see here is how it will, and I'll show you on my PC how it actually looks in the PC version. And this is what it sort of looks in the app version or the tablet version. So you see it's simplified a lot more, especially at the top in terms of the navigation. Like I said, because it's meant more to be used with your finger with the stylus. So it's a little bit harder, I would say, to set up your structure. So I would recommend if you were actually using OneNote for the first time, to probably do it on your laptop or your PC first, do all your setups and stuff there. Not to say that it's not possible. I would just find it much easier to do it on my laptop. So let's just show you how that actually works. So I'm going to escape out of this for a sec and just jump into OneNote right here. So like I just mentioned to you, we have notebooks, which is here on the left. We have sections, which is right here in the middle part, and each notebook has various sections. So I can go to the sections, and each section has various pages. So same thing, if I go to my business section, you'll see here sections at the top change depending on my notebook. And then I also have various pages depending on which section that I'm looking at. What's great about OneNote is you have lots of flexibility to customize the look and of these, well, to some degree, the look and feel. You can't change too much the navigation. You can change it from being dark to being light. You can change the color coding of your various sections, and you can also change what appears, just like in actually all Microsoft products now, you have the ability to go in and change the actual customizing of the ribbon. So similar actually to other Microsoft products as well, Word, PowerPoint, etc. They have a quick access bar where you can customize the functions that you maybe do on a regular basis. So say you, as part of OneNote, you're constantly emailing a page to someone or printing pages. Maybe these are the ones that you want to have as part of your quick access toolbar. But you can also here along each of the ribbons, again, very similar to other Microsoft applications, you can right click and select customize the ribbon and really go in and make some decisions. So say maybe you're using OneNote, you're not using the tablet version very much, the drawing. So maybe you don't even want that to appear as part of your navigation. So you can remove it completely. I'm just going to say okay now. All right. Now let me just quickly show you the web version of it as well. So this is the web version, similar to what you saw on the PC one, but almost like the tablet version. It's a little bit more simplified because the intent is that you're likely using it potentially on your phone, on a tablet itself, maybe without a stylus, maybe with your finger, or potentially on a two-in-one type of laptop as well. So because of that, and you're online, you do have all the same functionality that you would have on the PC version, I guess, but I'm just going to cancel out of that. But you do have to sort of click on each of these. No, you have to actually click on each of these of the ribbon to actually see the various options. So it's a little bit more work, I would say, than actually working on it in the PC version. And like I said, my recommendation would be is if you're going to start using OneNote and possibly setting up some notebooks, some sections for whatever you want to use it for in your projects, I would maybe use this version instead. All right, let's talk about some other functionality we have here. So with OneNote, you have various ways of actually inserting content into OneNote. So you can, let's just go to one of my pages here, and we're going to go to marking ideas, and we have a page here, webinar content. So you can type content in. So like anything else, I could put my information, type it all in. I could paste it in if I was copying and pasting it from another application or another document. Also along the top here, you'll see I have various options. I can import and insert a table and to help organize my information. insert a table, just like you would in any, Word or anything else. Now, right now, it's nesting it in part of this sort of little text box, so to speak. This is just a way to help you organize your information. This helps you then to sort of drag and drop. Once you have material in here, you can actually take stuff out and create its own little text box and move it around. And again, just helps for, again, from an idea perspective, you have all these little bits and bytes, and then you can rearrange and move the stuff around accordingly. You can also, let me just go back up here to the Insert tab. You can insert an actual file, like documents itself. You can add a spreadsheet, so you can go into Excel and get an existing spreadsheet and put it in, or create a new Excel spreadsheet. What's cool about that is then it's kind of connected with Excel. So you get all that functionality you get from Excel, but it's actually here in OneNote. Again, that's, I think, some of the greatest features of OneNote in the last few years is that connectivity with the rest of Microsoft's Office applications. You also have the ability, like in any other application of Microsoft, to insert pictures and the same sort of functionality going into your files and grabbing it. You also now have the ability to do screen clippings. So you'll take you to wherever screen you're on, and then you can actually select that, and then you get a screen capture. So again, there's other applications that I think have more. I'll show you the screen clipper that you have as part of Chrome and Internet Explorer. But in a bind, I think having this screen clipper that they have as part of OneNote can definitely be helpful. We're going to talk a little bit later. This is a great feature about the ability to record audio and video within OneNote. Now, a lot of people were asking me, like, why? What's the point? Why would I want to record my own notes? And you could do that, but I'm going to show you some features later on that it's not just about recording. You could record, say you had a team meeting, you could record it, either the audio, or if your tablet has a video capability, you could actually record the video of the meeting. But I'll show you some functionality that to me just adds that much more benefit to the audio. So it's not just this big MP3 file, that you can actually make it usable for people after the fact. You can timestamp, quickly add timestamp, both date and time. What's also great is the ability to do templates. So you'll notice that most of the pages within OneNote are simple white, which is fine, again, from note-taking perspective. But say you, as George mentioned, a lot of people use OneNote for meetings, for client documentation and stuff. And if that's the case, you probably will be sharing your pages with other people potentially. So if that's the case, you might want to create one that actually has a template. So we're going to say that this is our meeting template, and then I'm going to go here along the top to page templates, and you'll see that I can actually select one that's here for formal meeting template. So it's already, half the work's already done for me, and all I have to now go in is actually type in all my information and type in my agenda, et cetera, and we'll talk a little bit later about the fact that you can then share this either by sharing the notebook with other people so that they can go in and see this page, or you can actually just email this page to others. So, and another ability is the ability to insert equations. So if you're doing sort of financials on the fly, you can easily do some quick equations, and also the ability to quickly add symbols if you need to copyright or that sort of information. So as I was mentioning, so that's one way of inserting content into OneNote, sort of within OneNote itself. There's also another great feature too within, I use it tons within Chrome and within Internet Explorer, is it's called the OneNote Clipper. And you have to install it as part of your browser, and then you'll see the little symbol, and it's considered an extension up here in the top right-hand corner. So say I'm doing a search for whatever the case is, we're going to do marketing. And we're looking through the material and we're like, hey, this looks great. So say I want, now this is the great part, is I have a bunch of options. I don't have to just do a screen capture. I can go up here along the top to my clipper and activate it. And here I have some options. I can either clip the whole page, I can screen capture a region of it, I can just take the actual article, just the content itself, or I can just bookmark it. And by doing that, it will just give me the link. I can add a note about it. So say I want to say that, this is important for our planning. So then it's there. And then what's cool as well is the fact that I can decide right here in Chrome, where is it, which notebook is it going to go into, and potentially which section and what page I want it to go into. So I want this particular clip to go here into the webinars, and I'm going to decide on, I want a region. So I'm going to highlight what I want captured. Great. And then I'm going to clip it. So it's just taking a while because it's an image and it's sort of high quality and stuff. So while it's doing its stuff, I'm going to go back into, I'm going to go into my PC version of OneNote, and I'm going to try to find, let's see, where did I put it here? What's great is you can also see, it gives you a link here to view it in OneNote, so it'll actually open it right up for you, but it does open the web version. I actually want to go back in here to this version, and it was under webinar, and here we go. So then you'll see our little clip here. So that's handy. And what's great as well is it also captures the bookmark or the URL for you. So it's all linked. So really helpful, again, when you're doing research. And I notice a lot of people, like either they have within their browser themselves lots of bookmarks that they go through, as well as, you know, people creating these Word documents with tons of screen captures and URLs. You know, you could really do all that sort of research all right here within OneNote, which is great. All right, let's talk a little bit about, so we talked about adding content outside of OneNote. Let's talk a little bit about collaboration. So at this point, the way OneNote works is you can share it with you can share actual notebooks with other people. So by doing that, I can actually go to any of my notebooks here and I can right click and I have the option to share this notebook. So what that'll do is it brings me here to the backstage view, so to speak, of the Microsoft Office world. And here I can actually add people's addresses of who I want to invite to have access. Great. So I could send him a message. I can also decide, you know, whether I just want him to have access to view this particular notebook, or I give him access to actually change information and have the ability to require them to sign on so that I know when they're coming and going. So I'm going to say that George can edit it, and I'm going to require that he signs in, and I'm going to share that with him. Great. And then what you'll see here is this particular notebook, the Apex one, and you'll see who's been given access. So if you have many people on your team, they'll all be listed here. You'll also have the ability here to get a link. So say you wanted to share the link with anybody, you can get a link here, but again, that's a little bit less great from a security standpoint. And I think it's much better, obviously, to sort of give people access this way so that you know who's making any changes, etc. Now, as I mentioned, it's just the notebook. And when people have access to the notebook, that they can see all the sections within your notebook, as well as all the pages within those sections. Now, the way you kind of get around it is that you can password protect sections or pages within your particular notebook. So say I've now granted George access, but I don't want him to access the client section of this particular notebook. So I can create a password protect for this section, and you can go in here and set the password, and it'll give you some information now. The thing, it gives you lots of cautions and reminders and stuff because this is all sort of within Microsoft Office. So there's no real help desk for you to call if you forget your password. So it's pretty important that you use something that you know that you'll remember, because now, and this is the part I don't find very convenient about this password protect element, is that once you password protect it, it's also password protected for you too. So if you want to go in there and access it, anybody wants to access it, they have to enter in a password. So from a time productivity standpoint, I don't find that great. But again, at this point, OneNote does not allow you to share sections and pages specifically, with the exception of what I mentioned earlier, which is actually emailing a page to someone. So I'm going to go here to Home, and I can go here to webinars, and I'm going to go to this developing a marketing page, what I just copied from Google, and put it on this page. And so I can go to email page, and that will open up my Outlook. and it will actually put basically all the information that's in the page within the actual email. But this does not, sending an email to someone with the page does not grant them access to that notebook or to that page. It's just emailing them the content. But again, in terms of, say you were using this OneNote for yourself personally, you didn't want to grant everybody access, but you wanted to send them, say, meeting minute without granting them full access to the notebook, you could just email them the page with the actual meeting minutes themselves as a way of sort of getting around that. Okay, so let's get into some tips about the way I use OneNote a lot. Now, again, I found that Microsoft has been kind of taking OneNote in two directions. I've noticed they've incorporated a lot of features, I think from an educational standpoint. I could see like from way back when I was in university or college that, would have been great from a note-taking perspective, just ways to actually like write down notes with a stylus, organize them, convert text or writing to ink to text, that kind of thing, doing research online and citations. So they've really incorporated a lot of that kind of stuff in one end that I think is great. And they also, like I mentioned before, this incorporation with the Microsoft Office suite. So you'll see here is we'll talk a little bit about like how it's incorporated with Outlook and PowerPoint and all these other applications. And that from, say you're for your business, you could work with your team to really minimize the amount of paper you guys use, really help organize how you do your business, how you manage your projects. So there's lots of how you do your meetings. So there's lots of opportunities there. So let's talk a little bit about the image to text, which I use a lot, both from like, you could say from receipts, but I come across just images, or even this one, for example, where I want that text and I don't want to type it all out. I want to be able to copy and paste it, or say the page itself doesn't allow for copying and pasting. So I would take the image, and you have the ability to right click on it, and you have the ability to copy text from picture. And then you can go down here and paste it. Now, again, it's not an exact science because it's all based on sort of the spacing of the text and stuff and how clear the actual image is. But you'll see here, there's, some of the spacing's a little off, but it does save me a lot of time in terms of having to retype all this content out in a bind. So at least half of it's typed out, and I might have to spend a little bit of time, working with the spacing and some of the text, but at least a lot of the work is already done for me, which I think is great. So the other feature that I mentioned that's great is that the OneNote Outlook connection. So say you're having a meeting, and so I'm going to go here to my Outlook in my calendar. We've set up a meeting for tomorrow, so I'm just going to go into this meeting for tomorrow. Now you'll notice with the new Office 365 and Outlook 2016 that if you have OneNote, you'll see that you'll now have an icon here at the top that says Meeting Notes. So when I click on it, you'll have the option to either share notes with this meeting or just take notes on your own. For this aspect, though, just to show the capabilities, I'm going to click on Share Notes with the meeting. So what's great is so you can decide where these notes are going to exist within your OneNote. So what you'll see here is it's basically giving me basically all my notebooks that I can go into, and I can decide, okay, I want my meeting minutes for this meeting to go here into January, or we're going to go into February. And I can make some decisions on only people who have access to the notebook will be able to use the notes. I could create a new notebook if I needed. So I'm just going to click OK. So what you'll see is when I send this meeting notice out to folks, they will now have links to be able to go in and see these notes real time as I'm changing them if needed, both before the meeting and during the meeting and after the meeting, which is definitely very helpful. Let me show you on the other end. So I'm just going to I'm going to send it anyways. I'm going to jump into OneNote and go back to that page that I created with the meeting. And there's February. Oh, there's some other notes here. Let me just take rid of these notes that I took before. So what's cool is now when I created that meeting in Outlook and decided that I wanted the information to go on to this particular page, what you'll see is that it automatically copied the information from Outlook in terms of the date, the title of the meeting, the date, the information for the participants, who is actually participating, and look how cool. It actually adds the little check boxes. So when you're actually going to do your meeting, you could do roll call and check off who is actually in attendance, which is great. And then you can go and take your actual notes. So, we could say, whatever, Melanie needs to review the marketing plan, et cetera, which is great. And then what's great is, like you said, it's all real time. You don't have to send a file back to them, because if they go to that link in the moment, they will see this being typed in live. Or after the fact, if they want to go back and review the meeting minutes, they just have to go back to that same meeting invite and click on the link, which is great. Again, just from a productivity, document saving perspective, it's really great. Now, taking that to the next level, let's talk about the audio and video capabilities. So like I mentioned, people think, okay, yeah, I can record our meeting. What's the big deal? Then I have this, an hour MP3 file, and who's going to want to listen to that? But I think it's just an amazing feature is the fact that there's an intelligence that OneNote has as part of its recording capability. So say I go here to insert, and I'm going to go to record audio, and you'll see that the top ribbon sort of changes, but it's already starting. You'll see it's recording what I'm saying right now as we're talking. So you'll see the clock is going. Now you'll see also when I clicked to start the recording, a little icon appeared here. That's the actual file for the sound. Now say we're having our meeting, we're having our webinar, and in this moment we decide, okay, George has to call, X client to review financials. So what's fascinating about this feature now I'm just going to just pause it, is in this recording now, I'm just going to stop it for now and hop out. Okay. Now, what's really cool is whatever the notes are, you'll see when I go over this icon for the sound, you'll see I get a little playback button. So what that allows me to do is play back the sound like from the beginning of the meeting. What's awesome is the fact now is whatever notes that I take during the meeting, it actually puts a little marker in that sound file. So say I only want to listen to the conversation when, we were talking to George about this client. Well, all I have to do is click on this little playback button. It will take me to that precise part of the audio playback. Same thing for the video. So I think that's a great feature, especially, again, to avoid, I know, again, people record their meetings, but having, who wants to go back and listen to an hour meeting to try to find out what someone said? Just the fact that you're able to be very precise and say there was a discussion, and maybe you record the whole thing, but you really make a note saying at this point, this is when the boss came in and we talked about this. Maybe that's the best way to sort of highlight that, so that people, again, are more productive and are spending more time listening and reviewing the stuff that makes the most sense to them. So again, I think that's a great feature. Highly recommend, again, depending on your business, but has lots of applications. Now, with this whole meeting concept, we can actually take it to another level with OneNote. So same sort of idea. We have our meeting, but we can add tags and tasks. So I'm in our meeting notes for our February meeting, aka the January meeting, but known as February meeting 2018. And right now we created this little note about me doing marketing. So by making it an actual task or a tag, it will make it easier for me to find it later. So say after the fact, I want to find out any things that we need to follow up on. So what's great is that OneNote has created some commonly used tags. So for example, remember for later. So I'm going to highlight this and go, remember for later. So it's highlighted in yellow, and then I can later on do a search for anything across all my notes that are remember for later. So it definitely comes in handy when you're dealing with lots of content across many pages and many sections, that you can consolidate that in a quick search. Right here under searches, you could do a quick search across all your notebooks. You could also search within a particular notebook, which is great. Now you can also just create your own to-do tasks. I'm going to get out of this box here and just start creating my own to-do tasks. So, your own personal one, get groceries, whatever it is, you can create a long list. And if you're the type of person that really likes that check off results oriented, you could definitely create lists and lists and lists of to-do lists that you can check off and keep track of. Now, and then you can, like I mentioned, you can go back and actually find them depending on, based on person, based on the meeting. So there's lots of opportunities to go back and find very specific tags. Once your OneNote starts getting I'm sure George is experiencing this with his OneNote being something he uses very often. It's really full of content. So using tags and finding search is going to be very valuable for him. Another feature, though, again, with that connectivity with Outlook that I think is amazing is the ability to create Outlook tasks. So whereas these tags that I mentioned exist within OneNote itself, an Outlook task actually is connected to Outlook. So I'm going to go here to the task, and I'm going to say that George has to call, and we're going to make this a task for him. And we're not going to put a date. We're just going to say no date. Now, what you'll notice, though, is it added a little red flag beside it. Now, it's not red, solid red, because there's no date actually associated with it. Now, what's cool about this, though, is now because it's an Outlook task, if I go into my Outlook and go within my task section, then I can actually go through this list and find that particular Outlook task. Now, because it was assigned to George, oh no, it's here we go. So you'll see it's here at the bottom. George has to call right here. So, and it's not started. So again, then you can, within your within Outlook, you can assign it, you can email it to other people, you can put a calendar date on it, you can put reminders on it. So all those additional features that you have in Outlook are now connected with one click very easily with OneNote, which is awesome. All right. So another great feature when it comes to, again, the connectivity between OneNote and the rest of Microsoft is the ability to do notes. So let's go back here to our little meeting that we were conducting, our sample meeting. Now, say during our meeting, we were going to review our PowerPoint presentation. And as a group, we decide, okay, that we have some feedback. So I would I would have OneNote going, and I would be in this meeting, and then I would go to the actual document, and we have the option here under review to select linked notes. So I'm going to select linked notes, and it will open whatever I was on last in OneNote, and you'll see it's brought up our meeting that we were doing. Now, what's great here is I can start creating notes. So say we go here to our page that our front page here at the front, and we decide, add a different image to front, and then we decide on this slide that we want to, we want to change this image to something smaller. Anywho, so you can go through and create these notes about this particular file. Now, the great part about it is once we're all done here, and I'm just going to close off and go back into my OneNote, and we're just going to do a little refresh here. Hello. Where did it go? Where did it go? Okay, sorry guys. So what it's supposed to happen, let me just go back in here. Okay, maybe we docked it. Here we go. Can we shut it off? And it's linked, stop taking linked notes. So I just had to stop it and close it up. Perfect, that's what we needed to do. So this is the great part about the linked notes, is the fact that whatever notes that we just took while we were in PowerPoint, it actually captures it here within the actual meeting. And what's great is when I click on it, you'll see a little icon comes up. So we will actually, if we wanted to go back to this particular document, to this particular image and do the review, it actually links through those particular images. So we know, oh, we were talking about this one. So definitely a great feature. Like I know a lot of organizations and businesses, you work as a team on a sales document, meeting minutes, that kind of stuff. And it's just great the fact that you could possibly review it as a team, make notes using this linked note feature and embed it very easily into your meeting minutes so that the next person can actually, sorry, we have two on the go. That's why this is getting, let's close this one. And very quickly get to the, say the next person has to actually make the edits, they don't have to go through this big note section trying to find out what do they need to do. They can quickly go through this checklist and start going to the actual slides and making the changes accordingly. All right, let's jump back to where we were. All right, and we talked about emailing it to others, so I'm not going to talk about, but I'll just show you quickly again. So say we finished doing our meeting and we're like, great, I want to send this to my team. I can just quickly go up here to email the page, and then you'll see here that all the information from this particular page is included in the email, which is great. Now, the last little hint or tip that I wanted to talk about was the recycle bin. Now, this was one that when I found this out, it was so helpful, was the fact that OneNote has its own little recycle bin that it basically keeps all your pages, sections, and notebooks even after you delete them, which is very handy. So if I'm going into OneNote and I go along the top to review, what you'll notice is we have an option to look at, no, that's right, not a review. We go to under history, we have an option to do notebook recycle bin. So don't empty it, don't empty it, but depending on which notebook you're actually selected. So I'm say on my business notebook and I go here to notebook recycle bin, you'll see that right now it's gray because I don't have anything. I actually recently deleted it. So if I go to the Apex one and we go to, you'll see here that basically these are sections that I deleted, and I have the option to right click and put them back into restore it if for whatever reason that I decided that I didn't want to delete it. So again, it can come in handy if you by accident, get a little clicker crazy and cleaning up and you delete stuff by accident. There's lots of opportunities, and again with OneNote to drag and drop. Like we're not going to get into it today, but there's lots of ability once you actually start putting all your content together. And this is where I see that having this recycle opportunity is definitely handy, is once you start getting to the point where you have lots of pages, lots of sections, lots of content, what you will find is start realizing I might have duplicate content across many sections or many pages. So there's lots of opportunities to either drag and drop information or move and copy information. So you have the opportunity to move or copy in a more sort of controlled fashion. And that's how I learned the hard way about the fact that having the notebook recycle bin was handy because you were able to restore things that you might have deleted by accident. Another feature that I found really handy, in particular when you're sharing your notebooks with other people, is the ability to sort of check out based on authors. You could either hide authors or show authors, and you can also do searches by recent edits. So say you were sharing your pages or you had meeting minutes with other people and you wanted to see, who's been in this notebook recently, you could do a search since yesterday and find out all the changes that were made in a particular notebook so that you can keep tabs on who's going in there, if changes were made by an appropriate date, etc. All right, so before we finish off though, I do want to just show you a little bit about how this looks when you're on a tablet, because I recently got a sort of 2-in-1 tablet, and sorry guys, I'm just signing into it right now because it wants my fingerprint, and it definitely, I have to say, like I in the past I've only really used OneNote on my laptop and on my phone, and I have to admit, since I've been using it on my tablet with a stylus, it's really opened things up for me. It's changed how I view OneNote because now I've been able to work with a lot of these features that were I just wasn't really aware of. So let me try to project to you. I'm sorry, guys. Unfortunately, it took me out. So while I was talking to you, so now I'm not able to, unless George is able to quickly help me and explain to me how to get this to work again.
You might be able to go to that bottom right side of your screen and hit connect again and try and connect. The little screen pop up there. Downward in the very bottom right where it says number 4 in the taskbar, the very right side. I can't see your tablet actually, so.
I got it. Sorry,
Okay.
guys. There we go. Connect to a connecting.
There you go.
There we go. Yay. Good stuff. All right, let's make this big. And yes, so this is another great feature I recently learned about, everyone, that once you have Office 365, there's an internal feature that allows you to connect your devices, project your devices like your tablet onto your laptop or vice versa. You have stuff on your laptop and you want to project it onto your tablet or onto your phone. So there's some really great internal tools within Office 365 that in the past, obviously you had to kind of work with other applications and tools. So I just wanted to show you here in the draw section some great abilities. So say, you're not the best drawer and you had to do like an org chart or something. They have this new feature called Ink to Shape. And when it's activated, if my not so good circle drawings, they will actually make them nice and even. Or say I'm not so good at squares, they will make them nice and even for me, which is great. So say, for example, I'm just going to erase this as well. So say I'm doing, I'm taking notes. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say today, my writing's not so good. Oops. So this is the one piece is I have learned as I've been doing this is that like anything else, the more messy your writing is, the harder it is. It has a time translating it for you. But today is Thursday. We'll just do that. Now I'm going to just go here to the lasso tool and I'm going to lasso. So say you just took a bunch of notes and highlight it, and I can select here ink to text, and it will do its best to translate my writing into text. Now, again, like I said, I've learned as I've been playing with it that it won't take my chicken scratch. Like if I get very messy with my writing, it basically leaves spaces where it doesn't understand the text. So there's a bit of learning that kind of has to come along with that, but definitely comes in handy. It will also do for some, if you're, doing mathematics or any financials on the fly, you can very easily, I need to go back to writing. So same sort of thing, I'm going to take this and highlight it, and I'm going to go here to math, and it will show me the solution steps. And what's great is it will solve it for me, but then it will also allow me to bring it over. So say from an educational standpoint, it's just taking a little while, it should be able to move it over so that you can, say you need to know how to actually solve it, it will say that for you. Uh-oh, hello. Oh, I apparently crashed out OneNote. Okay. There we go. So I did actually crash OneNote. It didn't like my equation that much. But like I mentioned, though, like the drawing features, really handy, definitely comes, like I said, with a stylus, this definitely comes in handy. All the, you have all the same features that you have on the PC version. You just got to select each of the navigation ribbon and sort of then the drop down will occur and you'll have all the same options. Like, you have audio. I don't have on this laptop a camera, so that's why I wouldn't have the option here for video, but it does give me audio perspectives and stuff. And you can add sections. So all the things are there. But like I said, I just find and maybe it could be just me in terms of me getting used to working with a stylus. I just like, I think there's a lot more precision when it comes to working with a mouse. But I definitely find, once you have everything set up from a note-taking perspective, this new draw area, definitely lots of fun and something that you can check out.
With that, thanks so much, Melanie. Another great webinar. We are going to record this and post it to our YouTube site. So that'll be probably next week sometime. And again, thank you for everybody who was able to join us on the call today. Some great questions as well. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.